Hello, I'm Mike Farmer with Eagle Communications, and we're at Unified School District 239 in the Ag Department talking to the department head, Jerry Smith. Jerry, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Mike.
It's a full-time job advising kids in the FFA program, and I know agriculture, of course, in Kansas is huge. I mean, I've always said, and I know you'll agree with me, that the way the economy goes in Kansas depends on how the farming industry goes in Kansas, because we were talking about corporate farming just a few minutes ago. I know we're not going to get into that, but it's amazing what is happening in agriculture in Kansas. And what are the components of an ag education program? Because it's important stuff in the school system today.
Well, it's one of our largest employers across the United States. We have 20% of our population that went to work today at 8 o'clock are involved in some form of agriculture. But we only have about 1.8% of our population actually in production ag. So a lot of the students that come through the door will be going into jobs and careers that are ag-related, agribusinesses, that type of thing. But for an ag program, we have 3 components. And I just want to take a little bit of time and explain those 3 areas. Of course, the first is the classroom instruction, where we try to provide the content of what's going on in the real world and then apply that to kids to giving them some experience. All of our courses here, we try and create some kinds of labs, so it makes it more hands-on. And I'm a vocational guy, so we want to learn by doing, which is our FFA motto in that setting. But we have the first component, of course, is a classroom and lab, and so we have the classroom instruction, and our lab, of course, is our shop facilities. We have a school farm here at Minneapolis, and so the kids, after we've harvested the wheat, they take on the responsibility of learning how to market that. When is the best time to sell the wheat? And of course, that's a good question for anyone to answer in that setting. The second component that we look at is the SAE, which stands for Supervised Agriculture Experience. This is where the students will take the content that they learn in the classroom and apply that then to a job. So I have students that have entrepreneurships, they have their own cattle, hogs. They may take that on as a project to bring it to the county fair, that type of thing. Or they may be working what we call placements. So they're working for a producer, and I have a lot of people that will call me in May and April and say, hey, we need someone to help with summer help with harvest, and so they want them to know how to run the tractor and the grain cart or put them in a combine, so we try and give them some of that experience and applying, again, classroom knowledge, classroom information. The other area, of course, is the FFA. Again, that's our award side. That's what people...
visit with the Barton rep. Please report to Mr. Mike's office at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Well, just start with your explanation of the FFA component.
Our third component on our 3 circles is the FFA organization, which is a youth organization for students that's enrolled in agriculture education. So the only way they can be in FFA is if they went through our program here and taken some classes and those kind of things. So here we compete, we apply that content information in what we call career development events. So they'll compete in that. Our dairy team did really well this year. We're 2nd with the senior division and 4th with the freshmen, so they get pretty excited with that. And etymology was 1st. So we can get that information to the public and in the form of articles in local paper and all that, giving them recognition. Again, they can apply for lots of degrees, lots of areas that they can focus on within FFA and get the leadership skills. Again, monetary awards in that. We had students this year that competed at Kansas State Fair, which we were 2nd as a school. And we had a grand champion project. David Johns' a tremendous trailer, only dropped like 5 points out of 100. They really couldn't find anything wrong with the project, but a tremendous tilt bed 25-foot trailer, hydraulic. I can get into the specifics, but just a tremendous project that he did. And we had the grand champion repair project with Amber Wise's car trailer. And we had a reserve grand champion smaller project, but again, they're applying what they learned, putting it to work. When you order in $5,000 worth of steel, and then all of a sudden out the door it goes in the middle of the summer with a completed trailer, the kids have taken pride in that project. We'd like to see them take it to the county fair, state fair, and get recognition through FFA. So in all three of these components, the way we can have a balanced program here is with partnerships with our community.
You bet.
And the biggest thing there that we like is if I'm needing something, I can go downtown and I've got that support group.
Yep.
Again, it's a buy-in of the community within the program, supporting the kids to accomplish a lot of those different goals. So whether it's Brent Kendall helping out with the school farm or going with tours of industry, and that's the thing that probably is the most impressive for me, is that I learn as much as the kids when we go out and see what the real world's doing with technology. And technology is the one that's one of my questions for you is how we've changed things in agriculture.
Well, you know, one of the things that hits me and has since I've worked with you over the years is that what a tremendous head start for these kids that are going to go into agriculture, whether it's in a community college setting or a university setting or a technical setting. How much of a head start they've got knowing going in a pretty good foundation of what to expect and how to take that forward. And I'm sure it really is an incentive for kids to follow through and continue their education in agriculture. I would think that would be.
Well, in the area of welding, I got 2 ag welding classes, and we're seeing more and more students interested in that field, and I got several of them going to Saline Area Tech next year, where they can get certified and that type of thing. I've got one student that's going down to Tulsa Welding School, and I had 2 graduate a couple years ago. So there's a big demand.
Yes, there is.
And so welding is a big area that we see a lot of students that have interest in.
Well, that's fantastic. Okay, how has the ag industry affected the agriculture curriculum here at Minneapolis High School?
The biggest thing, again, is technology within precision agriculture. Farmers don't farm like they did 20 years ago, and if you climbed in a combine today and saw all the monitors around the screens, or a tractor day when they go out to plant, it's unbelievable the skills that a farmer actually has to know now.
It's amazing, yeah.
The technology of putting on variable rates across the field. In other words, we're not just putting on the same amount for this part of the ground as other parts and that kind of thing. We even got now where they're coming out with variable seed besides variable rate of seed and variable herbicides. I mean, again, you've got a lot of different monitors out there that are telling you a lot of different things.
It's amazing.
And of course, the farmer, he doesn't do anything. He pushes a button and it drives itself.
Yeah, I just can't believe
with hands on.
Well, and it's such a large industry anymore. You know, my grandfather used to be able to make a living off of 100 acres.
Yeah.
Now that's a garden. So you know it's become a huge industry in the country, and we're feeding more and more people every year too.
Yeah, 7.2 billion, as a matter of fact.
What are the events coming up for the FFA?
Well, in February here is a busy month for us. We start off with our toy show on the 20th. And then we move right into FFA week. We've got some competitions coming up with job interview, which I think is probably the most important career development event that the students can fill out a job application, a cover letter, resume, and go through an interview. Those are big. And then we have poultry and dairy foods along with speech contest. But during FFA week, we usually have some fun activities that the students schedule. And then we have an appreciation breakfast for all those people that we were talking about that we partnership with.
Great idea.
Bring them in here and feed them a breakfast, and the kids have fun, and it's pretty good food.
Yeah.
But that comes up during FFA week, which is coming like the 3rd week of February.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We've been talking to Jerry Smith, the advisor for the FFA here in Minneapolis High School, and we'll be back in just a moment with the Superintendent of Schools, Chris Veneri.
Around here, we believe in local values like hard work, family time, or a fair price on reliable internet from a local company. That's why Eagle Communications delivers great local values, like a range of internet options to fit your family's needs. Fast and consistent enough to power everyone's devices at once. All at reasonable prices we're proud to offer our friends and neighbors. Ready for better internet? Give us a call or visit eaglecom.net and discover our local values today.
Okay, we're back at Unified School District 239 with Superintendent of School, Chris Veneri. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
got on the internet, found some interesting stuff, and I thought I'd hit you with it and see if we could come up with an interview that's interesting to our viewers. So let's, not that the other ones haven't been, they've been great, okay? Don't get me wrong, but
Absolutely.
anyway, so I'm going to have to refer to my notes, I think, quite a bit on this one. On January 4th, Representative Ron Hyland, he's the chairman of the Special Committee on K through 12 Student Success, released a draft report for a committee to consider, and I would like to ask you about a few of those recommendations. First off, current state assessment testing approach should be reevaluated and revisited as necessary to avoid teaching to the test, inconsistent standard of proficiency, untimely return of test results, and cumbersome technology requirements. Is he right on, or what's your comments on that, please?
He's you know, he's got some valid points there. The legislature, they have some valid points. However, it's another issue that, you know, our legislature probably shouldn't jump into. They should, you know, let schools kind of somewhat do what they've been doing.
You think?
However, you know, to answer some of his questions, you know, I always like when you hear teaching to the test.
Yeah.
That's such an unfair statement for the simple fact that if I'm giving a science test to students, hopefully whatever I test them is something I taught them.
Absolutely. That kind of makes sense.
And so I understand the misconception of everybody thinks that, oh, it's state assessment time, so, oh, teachers are just kill and drill, you know, what's going to be on the state assessment.
That is an impression out there, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. You know, if the schools are doing it correctly, their curriculum will align with the state assessments. So what they're teaching throughout the school year, you know, should prepare the students.
Correct.
You know, there might be a week in there or so that you do a lot of reviewing.
Yeah.
You know, on different concepts that the kids might not be grasping. But, you know, we have to also understand that in the past, schools were graded on how their state assessments results came out. So to answer his question, teaching to the test, you know, I get that, but I don't necessarily agree with that. You know, also it talks about untimely return of the results.
Right.
Well, that's an unfair statement as well because, yes, this past test, we didn't get the results until the fall that they took last spring. The old tests that we used to take, we got the results within 15 minutes. I mean, they were there. That was the old state assessments. We have since changed our assessments. This was the first year, last spring was the first year we took these tests. So yeah, grading them was definitely different. But I think that process will speed back up.
You think they'll get the kinks worked out of it?
Absolutely. So I'm really not for sure. Yes, there are cumbersome technology requirements, and as we continue to improve our technology and upgrade technology, there's always going to be more of that. So just different things. I'm not for sure what they're looking at and why they're looking at doing that. There's probably some other information behind it that I'm not real sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. State should provide funding for each student to take the ACT exam. Your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree with that. That is one. I think the ACT, it is a nationally known test that students take typically their junior year. Some will take it their sophomore year. But it's a test that either gets them into a four-year school or not. The scholarships are involved with that.
Yeah, that's true.
I do think it's important. That's the one thing that we're looking at here at North Ottawa here. Is to align our curriculum with the ACT. That's one thing we're studying right now because I think it is important. It is a rigorous curriculum.
Well, to some colleges, it's critical. I mean, that's what they judge whether a kid's going to get a scholarship or even if they're going to get in. Isn't that correct?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are benchmarks that they consider college-ready benchmarks. That so as a student is taking it, they can see are they college ready based on the ACT score? Right. And you know, so should they pay for all? I think they should, but we already know that the state financially is in a bind, so that's going to be hard for them to pay for because it's going to cost a lot of money for all the school. And I would assume they would pick one grade level. But the next thing is, though, ACT also has a test called the Aspire. Now, the Aspire is a pre-ACT test. It is a test that you can start giving in third grade.
Really?
All the way through, to high school.
That's a great idea.
It is, and it allows the school to go ahead and align their curriculum with it, and they can get the results and they can adjust their curriculum. And that's another thing that we're looking at here as well. We're not looking to start all the way down in 3rd grade, but potentially 6th grade
I think
is
that's
something
a great
we're looking
idea.
at as well. So.
All right, well, the legislature should repeal a current statute for state aid for the payment of principals and interest on bonds for capital improvements. What's your comment
Well,
on that?
I think once again, I have to disagree with that. And the best part, first of all, for that is we passed our bond issue, as you know, last spring. So,
and it came under budget.
Yes, and that will not affect us.
No.
This, even if they repeal
Right.
it, we're grandfathered in. And so, being grandfathered in, we're safe on that. But here's what it does, though. You know, you've got those schools, you've got the communities that are poor financially. And so if the state isn't going to come through with any aid for those other schools, then the poor is going to continue to get poorer, and the rich is going to continue to get richer with nice facilities. Believe it or not, plenty of studies out there that talk about upgraded facilities. You're going to have better academics with your students.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. A single central accounting interface should be developed and be used by all school districts to allow the financial information of the school districts to be retrieved and evaluated in a single system for all local school districts in the state. That's a tough one.
Well, this is something that's been brought up before, but it's never passed. Yeah, that is. I mean, every school, a lot of schools in the state have a similar one already.
Right.
Okay, a similar program that they use for their data.
Similar, but not.
Yeah,
the
there's
same.
probably 3 or 4 different ones across the state.
Exactly.
The state is wanting everybody to use the same one. I think the issue is going to be there is, well, one, it could cost your accounting firms a little more money, or it's going to cost the state more money.
Yeah.
But that's probably going to eventually get passed on to us, the school district. So you're talking more dollars.
Yeah.
I think part of this too is they're thinking that schools don't put enough financial information on websites.
Right.
And which is just not correct either, because I've read a little bit up on this one, and they want more information on the school websites. Well, we put everything that the state law requires us, plus everything is free to the public. Mm-hmm. All the public has to do is come and request the information. Mm-hmm. And I know that that's part of why they're doing, why they're looking at this as well.
But it's not going to be this year.
No, I don't see that happening. No.
Okay, a new school funding mechanism should be based upon an efficient use of taxpayer money and should reward school districts who provide necessary services and commodities at the best possible price.
Well, as we know, this ties into basically why they went to what they call the block grants.
Right.
You know, to say here's how much money you're getting, because they don't believe schools are efficient with their money.
But isn't there a lawsuit from some of the schools?
There is. Right now there is, absolutely, and we ought to hear from that here in the next couple months on, you know, how that's actually going to turn out and what they're going to require the courts to the courts are going to say that the legislature has to do. State can't do. Absolutely. But as far as school funding mechanism, the old system wasn't broke. It wasn't.
Okay.
You know, it really was efficient. It just wasn't funded. Mm-hmm. You know, results after results after results show how Kansas schools were doing great academically. And now they're starting to slowly go back the other way. Yeah. And it's because they've had to cut staff. And so there's not as much staff out there to work with the kids across the whole state. We're doing fine here. Absolutely. So I'm going to kind of disagree with that as far as we need a new mechanism. We had it, but unfortunately, I can disagree. Something's going to take place. Something's going to be new. It just is. And so it is. That part is what it is. And I think schools in Kansas do a great job with the money that they're given.
Okay. Anything to add?
Well, just to go along with all of this, I think, you know, if the research shows that Kansas schools are up there academically across the nation with the money given to them. Meaning, what I mean by that is Kansas has one of the lowest cost per pupils to educate across the whole state of Kansas, but yet we're up there in several of the categories with our academics. So we're not giving as much money, but yet we're up there. So our teachers do a great job here in Kansas, especially here at North Ottawa County. We do a great job.
You got a good staff.
We do have a good staff, and always having to do a lot more when you get less. And And they continue to, and I think that's part of the problem. We have done such a great job that the legislators say, "See, you don't need all that money."
That's a good point.
You know, but well, you got people who love what they're doing.
Yeah.
They step up to it and they do a nice job.
And that makes your job a lot easier too.
Well, that it does, absolutely. So.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. We really appreciate you being on the program. That's our show for today. Thank you for joining us, and continue to watch.